Good morning, viewers. Welcome to another edition of CodeWithSherif interviews, where we interview those who actually do the coding and not those who use coders. Today with me is a developer, an experienced software developer. He's experienced in front-end development and majorly mobile application development. He has built quite a lot of mobile applications and he's still doing them. So, but at least most people won't know him because he's always behind the computer building stuff. So that is why we have to look around for people like that and show them to the world that come and see those behind the software you use, behind the application you use. His name is AbdulAzeez Giwa, and he's currently working in Lagos as a software and mobile engineer at SeamlessHR in Lagos, Nigeria. And he has worked in different places, including in the applications for Kilk.chat, which is in Pakistan. And he has also worked in several other places in mobile development company in Lagos. And currently, he's still doing that. He's also the author and maintainer of a JavaScript package, which is commonly used. And the name of the package is React Native Form Component. He just published it, and I think he's doing well. The last time I checked the number of downloads, and I'll also try it out once I'm free. So, Mr. AbdulAzeez Giwa is our guest today. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us who you are, how you came about software development and mobile development majorly?
All right. Good morning to the viewers. Good morning to everyone. Yeah, so as he has rightly said, my name is AbdulAzeez Giwa. Yeah, I'm a software engineer. I have over like 3 years professional software engineering experience. Yeah, I say professional because I've been doing the coding stuff before I started working professionally as a software engineer. So how I came into software development was in the university. Yeah, that was my first introduction to anything called coding. Like before university, I did not know there was something like coding. But in my first year in university, I studied in the Obafemi University. Actually, I studied computer science with mathematics. So in my first year in the uni, as in our colleagues, those who have been in the school before us, our seniors, you know, they code and stuff like that. So when I like saw it, like, wow, so people can do this, immediately I got fascinated. I got interested in it. So what I did then was I went to one of our senior colleagues then, and I asked him to, like, are there books on these things which I can read? Because I'm this kind of person that I can actually learn things for myself if I get good books on them. So I'm really not the kind of person that maybe if I don't have someone to teach me, I can't learn something. No, I'm someone that is self-taught in a whole lot of things. So what I just sought out for was, okay, can I get a book that I can read that would actually, from which I can actually learn programming. Then it was Java I wanted to learn because that was what majority. But I began reading one of them, which is Data How to Program. It's a Java textbook, very big book. I read that book throughout my stay in the university. Even till today, I've not finished reading the book. So that is it. Throughout my stay in the book. Though there were times that I wasn't studying the book maybe because of other things, but at least throughout my stay in the university, I know that was the book I was reading to learn programming. And that was the book that actually taught me the basics of programming. It taught me Java. It taught me how to think like a programmer. So I'll say that book is like my very first programming teacher, and the book is very good because it has a whole lot of exercises. So, and which is one of the reasons why actually I did not get to finish the book, because I'm this kind of a person that after reading a chapter, I try to want to solve all of the challenges under the chapter, and the challenges are quite many. So that's it. That was how I started learning programming. So immediately after school, I started working as a software engineer. So I finished university like 3 years ago, and which is why I have like 3 years professional experience. But before that, I've been coding like I think over 6 years or thereabout now.
Wow. So you started with Java, and now you major in JavaScript, mobile application development. So what's the relationship between Java and JavaScript, or front end, and why did you transit into that?
Okay, so the thing is, my first job, that's the job I got immediately after school, which was a job that I had to use React Native. And React Native is JavaScript. So before then, I'll say I did not know JavaScript. I had only perused, I've read a few chapters of JavaScript books, but I've not really sat down to actually write JavaScript. But the thing is, since I understood Java, like I used to help my friends out with some of their JavaScript problems because the syntax are very similar as in Java and JavaScript syntax. There are things that they are not too different. It's not like taking maybe Java and Objective-C now. Those are very different. Like when you first see Objective-C, you'll be like, what is this? So it's not like that. JavaScript is closely related to Java. They have similar syntax. And the thing is, okay, it's programming. It's not like I need to learn algorithms or anything. No, I already know these things. I know how to think as a programmer. So that was it. The job required me to use JavaScript, and I had to learn JavaScript on the job. That's it. And it wasn't even only JavaScript I was learning, but I also had to learn React, and I had to learn React Native as well, because what we were using to work was React Native. I had never seen React or React Native before I started working at that place. And I was employed to come and work as a React Native engineer. So I just had to.
I was learning on the job.
Exactly, that was it. I was working and I was learning. It wasn't easy, to be candid. It wasn't easy, but after the first 2 months, it became easier from then. That was it. So that is why I had to shift to JavaScript from Java. But I still write Java though, because I do React Native, which I work with. And there are times where I need to drop down to the native side of what I'm working with. Now, React Native is a framework for developing mobile apps. You can use it to develop for both Android, iOS, and Windows mobile operating system. So that's for mobile. Though React Native can also use it to build for the web and to build desktop apps. But what I do on my job is mobile app. So basically Android, iOS. I have not built a Windows app before. There's no requirements for that most of the time. So what I have built is Android and iOS apps. So there are times where I need to drop down to the native side. Maybe I need to write some Java or some Kotlin or some Objective-C. Android uses basically it uses Java and Kotlin, while iOS uses Objective-C and Swift, or Swift. Let me not say and, because you could pick whichever one you want. So there are times where I need to actually write Java. There are times that I write Java because React Native cannot cater for what I'm doing. So I just have to go native. So I still write Java though.
Now let's go straight to a very important question, which is many developers know that these days we hear different terminologies in software development. We hear people saying backend engineer, front-end engineer or developer, mobile app developer, can you please, in few sentences, can you please tell us the difference between a backend, front end, then mobile application developer? Are they different things? Can't a single person become a developer for all of them? The full stack, what's the meaning of full stack and all of that?
All right. So basically, what a front-end engineer does is he basically works the things that the user interacts with are what the front-end engineer does. For example, you open a website on your browser, or you click an app to launch it on your mobile phone. What you interact with is done by the front-end engineer. You click a button, the button does something. So all of those are basically what the front-end engineer focuses on. As for the back-end engineer, what he does are things that the user doesn't interact, like those who interact with what the back-end engineer does primarily are the front-end engineers, not the users. And basically what the back-end engineer does is he fetches data from the database, he stores data in the database, and he manages those processes. So basically primarily that's what the backend engineer does. It's not like they don't do more than that, but primarily I would say that's what they do. So as for the full stack is someone that works both on the front end and the back end. So, and back end these days is kind of how would I put it? Like now we have serverless, which means it is easy for someone to actually be full stack these days. For example, someone who is developing a mobile app or a website and is using data Firebase as his backend. So the same person works on the front end and he does the backend job as well. But what he does is actually minimal as compared to, let's say, a backend engineer that wants to set up the whole infrastructure from the ground to the top himself. For example, Firebase has actually handled quite a number of things for you. So you don't need to stress yourself about some things. You just plug into the module that they provide, which you need, and you use it. So full stack is someone that does all of that. You can work on the front end, you can work on the back end, and that's it. So basically, that's the difference between all of them.
Thank you very much.
I think
for the mobile developer.
I think mobile developer is self-explanatory. Someone who bids for mobile. And the thing about mobile development is you actually, most of the times you do both front end and back end. That's because for mobile apps, they require database. Even if it's not on the back end, like maybe you don't need to connect to a backend server or something. If you're building an app and you need to cater for offline, an app which you can use offline. So there's no way that you will not save data on the mobile phone. So you might need to set up some database on the mobile phone and stuff like that. So basically that's it.
Thank you very much for that. And one more thing we need to tell us is that now I have decided to start software development and I'm confused. Which aspect should I focus on? Should I feel like I want to become a front-end developer or back-end or mobile app? Is there a reason why I should choose one over another?
Actually, this question, what I do tell to people when I'm asked something like this is that it actually depends on the individual. For example, I began with Java, and the Java that I began with, it wasn't really front end because most of what I was doing then, what I could see was only in the console. Like there was no GUI, there was no graphical interface. It was later that I began to even do GUI for Java. What I say to people is that, one, you know what you're interested in. Are you interested in front end? Are you interested in back end? Which do you have the zeal to want to learn? Because one thing is this, I've seen quite a number of people who say they want to learn programming, and after a short period of time, they got bored, they got tired of it, and they had to drop it. So what I do encourage people to do is pick something that you're interested in. So at least you have that drive to always want to continue with it. So if it's front end, it's good. If it's back end, it's good. Though the thing is, if you want to learn front end, with what I have seen in my own experience, there are a whole lot of, it's easier to get resources for front end than for back end, because it's like more people do front end. So the front end people, they share more resources. Like if you want to learn JavaScript, for example, you can just go online, go to freecodecamp.org, you learn front end there, though they have some back end stacks as well. But before, it used to be majorly front end. And there are other stuffs like that, where there are other sites like that as well, where you get to learn this stuff. So front end has more resources, because there are many people in front end, then it is easier to find resources that are more beginner friendly, because we have many people writing about front end. So we have people that are writing advanced front end, we have people that are writing beginner front end, we have people that are writing intermediate front end. So it is like that. It's not like these things are not there for the back end, but you find more of it for the front end than you do for the back end. So which you pick really depends on the individual, what he is interested in. So that's it. And if you learn one of them and you actually understand it, it's easier for you to pick up the other. If you learn, because you're already thinking like a programmer, we can't compare you with someone that doesn't know programming at all and just wants to start. No, that person would find a whole lot of things difficult. But it should be easy. It's not like if you're doing front end and you want to pick back end, you don't need to learn about loops again. You don't need to learn about if statements. You already know these things. It's the same thing across board. So that's it.
So now I have decided to learn or to become a front-end engineer or front-end developer. So what do I need to learn?
Okay, so front end, you want to learn front end. So front end, most of the time when people say front end, they're talking of the web. Yeah, so the web front end is built upon HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These are basically the things you need. You know, HTML. If you know HTML, you can describe what you want the browser to render. So CSS is used for styling. You need to know it, at least today. Today, with the way frontend is today, you need to know CSS. That's it. And JavaScript is the programming language which you can use to manipulate the HTML. So these are the basic things you need to know. So with time, you get to learn other things, because actually there is more to front end than just those. But those are the basic things which are needed: HTML, CSS, JavaScript. That's where you should start from if you want to learn front end, especially HTML.
Okay, thank you. On the final one. So the final question is, front end, does it have anything to do with design? Do I have to learn graphic design?
Okay. No, you do not, because tech is a very big field, and we have specialized fields in tech. So we have designers. So they are the ones that come up with mock-ups as in what the page should look like and stuff like that. For example, in all of my jobs, I have never done design in all of my jobs, because they are always designers that give me the designs. So what I do is I implement them. So the design part is a part on its own. It's not like if you want to do front end, you must learn design. No, it's not a requirement for front end.
Okay. Thank you very much for all of this vital and helpful information, Mr. AbdulAzeez Giwa. It has been very, very helpful to new developers out there, and I'm sure a lot of them can now decide to say, okay, I want to be a front-end developer because I've learned I need to just learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I really appreciate your time. I think we're going to cut down the curtain here because of time, and I hope if we invite you some other time to come and tell us more about mobile development, you would definitely attend to us.
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. And do have a lovely day, sir.
Yeah, and you as well. Thank you.